This next story has to do with a guy who found out someone he knows was scammed by a CSGO scammer, and then he tries to take justice into his own hands. And this is how it starts off. I'm not inherently violent or anything along those lines. The last physical fight I was involved in was like 10 years ago when I was 16. I like to chill out, smoke with my mates, and generally mind my own business. I met a girl online at the beginning of this year. I've never met her in real life. We don't even game together, we just talked. And somehow I just fell for this girl. She didn't feel the same way. Pity. So I cooled my interest in her, but she was still a friend whom I deeply care for. We still talked, but daily messages became weekly messages. A few weeks back, she messaged me on Steam asking for a small favor. Because I was dumb like a tree, I decided to dig a little deeper. It turns out someone scammed her for about $800 USD in CSGO. $800 isn't a fortune, I know, but it was how he did it. He told her he loved her and all of that stuff and how he would help her trade up in her game items. Don't ask me why they are worth $800 a pop. Some may argue she was gullible, which she was, but deceiving a gullible person is still deception. Another thing with this girl is she has issues with anxiety, and in her past, she's done some dangerous things to herself. I'm not sure if she would do it again, but I wouldn't put it past her. Let's just say she's really delicate, and he knew, but still did it anyway. I will admit part of my rage is fueled by jealousy. I wouldn't be human if I said otherwise. I don't care about the in-game items or the $800. It's a fact that she did something stupid to herself. Also, while the girl and I are from the same country, the scammer is from the UK. About 6,000 miles away. No problem. That's why we invented planes, no? I had to quit my job because it requires you to have a squeaky clean criminal record lest I start bringing heat on my bosses. Anyways, yeah, I just booked a plane ticket to Heathrow Airport, London. Trust me when I say that costs more than $800 USD. The die is cast and I will carry out what needs to be done. I'm going to break at least 30 bones or we ain't even. Am I the jerk? This is an absolutely horrible idea. I would tell this person if they were listening, do not do this. But since this post is from such a long time ago, hopefully nothing bad actually happened. The part that seems so insane is that they only talk weekly and he's gonna buy a plane ticket to go 6,000 miles to do something that it sounds like she didn't even ask him to do. And some of the top responses to this said the obvious thing, just give her the $800 instead of spending your own time flying all the way out there and getting a criminal record for no reason. I mean, you're spending money, you're spending time, and you're giving up what he later calls his non-taxed high-paying job, because in the TLDR he describes it as, I quit a non-taxed high-paying job. I prepared to go to jail in a foreign country, all for a girl I never met. At least that was what I used to think. Now I'm doing it for myself. So anyway, the top comment that mentions a lot of this stuff basically ends by saying your best bet is to cancel this trip, beg for your job back, and give the girl $800, be a hero, and move on. But in one of his edits, he actually said he offered to cover her losses, but she doesn't want the money. She ain't no gold digger, is what he wrote. So I'm curious to see what the message was asking for a small favor. What was a small favor that she was asking? Because if it wasn't for money, it probably wasn't asking him to go fly 6,000 miles and exact vengeance in this very elaborate way, because that wouldn't exactly be a small favor. But let me know what you guys think. What would you do in the situation, and is he the jerk for doing this? Am I the jerk for getting my friend banned in CSGO and him losing $400 worth of skins because of it? So about a year ago, I had a group of friends who played CSGO. I decided to find a wall hack that wasn't detectable, and we three used it until we ranked out of Silver 3 and got to Silver 4. We told my friend not to test it in bot games because he would get caught, and he did it anyway. But I was the one that pressured him into getting the hack though, and that's what got him banned. He lost about $400 worth of skins in CSGO. Am I the jerk? I mean, all of them use the wall hack from the sounds of it, and anyone who's hacking in the game should probably be banned no matter what. Just because it's a lower rank, I'm guessing that's his argument he's trying to make, that because it's a lower rank it doesn't matter. It still matters. There are people that they play as good as they can, and they're less than that or about the same as Silver 3 to Silver 4, and that ruins the game for everyone. It probably should have been all three of them that were banned and not just this one guy, but I really can't believe how common it seems that people are using cheats all over the place in all different types of games. But let me know what you guys think. Jerk or not a jerk for getting his friend banned in CSGO and making him lose $400 worth of skins? Am I the jerk for demanding my sister pay rent for living at home with my parents and refusing to pay my rent until she does? Some background. I graduated from college 4 years ago to live at home with my parents. My sister graduated 2 years ago and also lives with my parents. We both got jobs pretty much straight out of college, and I pay my parents $800 a month in rent since my very first paycheck. I'm really emotionally charged right now, and last night my parents were talking loudly about their financial problems in the living room. I overheard and I offered to help by paying more in rent. I was thinking maybe bumping it up to $900 to $1,000 a month since it covers utilities, phone, internet. My parents were grateful. Now, prior to this, I never asked how much my sister pays in rent. I always figured my parents charged us the same. So, absentmindedly, I asked a follow-up question. Me. How much is my sister paying for rent? My mom. Nothing. A long pause. Me. What do you mean she doesn't pay rent? My dad, visibly angry. Your sister doesn't pay a thing! My dad explained how my sister recently bought a brand new car and she hasn't paid insurance on it, so my dad had to pay for it. Since she doesn't pay rent, she doesn't pay utilities, phone, anything. So for the past 2 years, she's been living rent-free while I've been paying my parents. So later that night, we had a family sit-down talk. My sister didn't want to pay rent, especially at how much I was paying. She offered to pay $100 a month. My parents suggested she pay $300 and I pay $800, which my sister and I both rejected. The conversation ended with this. Sister, screw you, I'm trying to live my life. These were her exact words, which pissed me off. So my sister storms off to her room, and now it's me, my parents in the living room. I'm extremely upset because this is massively unfair. My mom is upset that everyone's angry at each other, and my dad's angry my sister won't pay rent and she won't move out. And both my parents don't want to get the police involved. So I say my part before leaving. Me. I am not going to pay any more rent until she does. And if I do pay rent, I'll be paying whatever she's paying. It's only fair, right? My mom. What if she pays $300 and you pay $800? Me. No. My mom. But we really need the money. Me. That's too bad. I get up and go off to my room. So this morning, my dad comes in to tell me that I'm a jerk for not paying rent, that I should pay rent because it's the right thing to do and all of this stuff. And I'm like, what the heck? Make my sister pay rent. My mom, who's listening in, says, you've seen her. She won't listen to us. Me. Well, that's too bad. My mom, really angry. Well, we wouldn't have this problem if you didn't try to make your sister pay rent. That was the last straw that blew it for me. I slammed the door on my parents. As I'm typing this, my parents are in the living room discussing how both their children are rotten and things were better back in the home country / back in their day when kids listened to their parents. Am I the jerk? This has got to feel so disheartening. 2 years of rent, $800 a month, is over $19,000. And that's a lot of money to pay. I don't know what city this is in, but if she's just renting a room, $800 is a ton of money for that. She's paid over $19,000 while her sister has paid nothing. And from what she said in the story, the sister graduated 2 years earlier, which I guess she's trying to imply that maybe she should be more stable and have a job earlier. But it's interesting that the parents don't see it from her point of view. They basically seem to exclusively care about the total amount of rent they get overall and not whether or not something's fair. I think the biggest mistake in this whole part was the parents not being transparent about this at all, because now that the OP, the original poster, has been burned, it seems pretty unlikely she's going to want to play by their game anymore, especially since she probably felt like she was being extra generous by saying, hey, I know times are hard, I'm going to pay even more. But now that she figured out she's been bamboozled the whole time, she's probably not going to make any gestures like that on her own anytime soon. But let me know what you guys think, jerk or not a jerk, and what would you do in this situation? Am I the jerk for making fun of a woman for being in her 40s and single? This whole saga started because my husband took my last name. A couple weeks ago, he got his workplace to change it and his coworkers found out. About half of them think this this is the funniest thing ever, and about half are deeply offended. Brenda is in the offended half and has made that clear. He and I are in a group chat with his coworkers where we organize carpooling during the pandemic. It is very helpful to us, so we can't leave the chat. Since he changed his name, my husband and I have been dealing with a lot of dumb jokes in the chat, which we have mostly been ignoring. Yesterday, Brenda, his coworker, and I got into a bit of a spat. I messaged the group asking if someone could take my husband home since I wouldn't be back from work until late and I needed the car. One of his other coworkers agreed, and I thought that was that. Brenda messages the group saying, maybe if you spent less time at work and more time being a wife, your husband wouldn't come into work with dirty shirts. I took this as a bad joke initially. My husband is a rural mail carrier, so his shirts look like shirts worn by someone in 90-degree heat on dusty roads. I do wash them, but there's only so much that can be done. Me. I could make cleaning those shirts my full-time job, and it wouldn't do much. Lol. Brenda. You wouldn't be married very long if you keep trying to be the man in the relationship. I'd be embarrassed as a wife if I did so little for my husband. Me. Well, I work more hours and pay the bills, so I think he can OxyClean his own shirts if it's so important. Brenda. Maybe you should learn to take proper care of your husband or you'll find yourself divorced. Me. I'll let you know when I need relationship advice from someone who is 42 years old and single. Now, apparently, Brenda is going around saying that I, quote, mocked her for being single in her 40s. I don't care if someone is single in their 40s, but I think it's absolute nonsense that she can call me a bad wife, but I can't point out that she has no frame of reference. So, am I the jerk? I really don't care why people care that much if somebody changes their last name, whether it's the guy or the girl. I mean, even if it's something that they would never do, I don't really know why somebody would care if somebody else did it, to the point where they're going to be trash talking in a group chat where you're supposed to be talking about carpooling. That part really doesn't make sense to me, but maybe it really does just bother people that much. The way someone described this was by saying, it's like watching Wile E. Coyote trying to catch the falling anvil only to hold up a little umbrella and a sign saying, what am I doing? And in terms of the people saying that that was going too far, her saying this thing about her being single in her 40s, I don't think that's going any further than trying to clown on the husband and her for living life the way they want to live it. From the way she tells it, they weren't really bothering anyone. And apparently some people were saying that maybe the wife hurt the husband's feelings by saying that she pays the bills. And she wanted to clarify that by saying that he texted her and said, sometimes I forget you're a hard little bee who takes no prisoners. I'm so proud, lol. So with all of that said, is she the jerk or not for making fun of a woman for being in her 40s and single? Am I the jerk for calling out my kid's future stepmom for treating me like a surrogate? I am a 29-year-old female. I dated a guy, Joe, who's a 30-year-old female, for 3 months before he left me to go back to his ex, Kim, who is a 30-year-old female. Right after we broke up, I found out I was pregnant. Now I'm at 24 weeks. I let him know and he was ecstatic. Turns out his girlfriend had fertility issues and would likely never be able to get pregnant naturally, and he has always wanted to be a father. Getting back together was out of the question for both of us, so he's still with his girlfriend. Joe was only allowed at the initial appointment because of the global illness, and we found out I was having twins. According to Joe, when he told Kim, she had a mental breakdown about her infertility and wanted to talk to me. I met them at their house and Kim stated that she wanted to be involved in my pregnancy because she would eventually be the children's stepmother. She started telling me that I need to do an at-home birth, that I needed to formula feed so that they could have the babies half of the week, that she wanted one boy and one girl, and that she wanted the kid to call her mama since they would be calling me mommy. I shut her down and said I would make the best choices for my children and my body, and I left. Kim continued to be overbearing and texting me every day about my eating habits, exercise habits, complaining about how her job wouldn't let her take maternity leave. At the virtual genetics counseling appointment, she attended instead of Joe and took over the whole meeting trying to talk about her family history, which wasn't even relevant. When it came time for my 20-week level 2 scan, they allowed me one guest and Joe suggested I take Kim instead of him, which I refused to do. Joe did end up coming and he found out the gender because I wanted to keep it a surprise for me so we could throw a gender reveal party. I put a pregnancy announcement on my social media and then she put up an announcement saying they were expecting twins the non-traditional way and how blessed she was. I was was irritated, but I kept my mouth shut. Then she threw a gender reveal party and posted it on social media. I wasn't even invited. She also announced that she's having a baby shower. I commented on her post and told her to stop treating me like I'm a surrogate, that the kids weren't hers, and that Joe didn't have any claim or custody of the kids until they are born. I then called Joe and reiterated all of this and stated that I would not be seeing either of them until we went to family court, and that my mother would be my birthing partner. He and Kim and some of her friends and family are saying that I'm a jerk, and her mother even called and insisted I give her one of my babies. Like this is the Parent Trap. So, am I the jerk? I can't believe that she threw a gender reveal party and didn't invite the person who's going to give birth to the children. That is pretty wild. I think the way that she describes it is spot on. They're treating her like she's some sort of surrogate, that she doesn't have any role in this at all. She's just delivering a baby like she's straight out of Handmaid's Tale. I mean, it almost sounds like Kim and Joe, mostly Kim, want to take her out of the picture entirely. Like she has these babies and then, oh, I wonder where the mother went. She just disappeared. That's the kind of level that Kim seems like she's on right now. But a lot of people were suggesting that she should get a lawyer, because with this type of enthusiasm, there's probably going to be a bunch of custody law issues and restraining orders that may be necessary. Honestly, this kind of sounds like the start to a horror movie, where this is how it starts and then everything goes horribly wrong from this point. It's pretty much the perfect setup. There was a few updates in this whole situation. She said that she is going to get a lawyer as soon as possible. And then a lot of people suggested that maybe Joe did this on purpose, that there was some sort of plan all along. But then the last update in this whole situation is that she has orders of protection against Kim and Joe, that she left the States and Kim and Joe are harassing her because there's no legal jurisdiction once you leave the States. She says that she has enough evidence and she will be pressing charges in her current state and pursuing a restraining order. I'm not sure exactly how that works out since Joe is actually the father, but this whole situation is very complicated as it is. But let me know what you guys think, jerk or not a jerk, and what would you do?